Okay, good morning, everybody. It says you are live, so I'm going to assume I am. And good morning, YouTube. Good morning, X. Good morning, whoever else. And PCE day today, so we get to watch the algos react to PCE. So, as you could probably see, we got the IC whale here, and he's kind of getting harpooned right now. Oh, yeah, please comment on X and on YouTube, so I guess kind of know that people are here. I see one comment, so that's good. Yeah, so the IC whale is kind of getting skewered now. And for those of you who don't know who the IC whale is or whatever that is, the IC whale sells iron condors um, only on certain days, certain setups that he's looking for. And he tends to be large. He starts with 3,000 contracts, which has a dampening effect. And if he loses, he doubles. He follows a progression until he wins or goes broke. So far, he hasn't gone broke. He's gone up to 5 iterations a few times, up to 60,000 contracts. Usually, when this is his second go at it this week. So here we are. Okay, so PCE looks like it's 831, so I don't see a reaction. So I'm just kind of guessing it's a nothing burger. Slight little red wiggles, but here we go, a little bit of a reaction. Now, first thing we want to see, or what I'm curious to see, is how vol gets repriced, because we know that the unknown now becomes known. Now let's see if there's a reaction in VIX. Yeah, VIX 1 day reacting. A little reaction in the VIX 1 day, which is a lousy measure if you ask me. The VIX 9 day doesn't really show anything until later, however they calculate that. All right, so we're seeing a little bit of a vol repricing going up a little bit. And if you saw in my morning note, I mentioned that when I looked at the IV for what day was it for Monday, it was really low. It was like a 9 or a 10. It was like 9.9, so maybe that'll get repriced a little bit. So as this reprices, that should create a little bit of weakness. I'm not expecting anything real big. So let's just kind of go over where the zones are, and then we'll see where they come from. Okay, so right near 6150, the round number, there's two-way action. There's long and there's short calls. And with the round number and everything else, here's kind of a choppy inflection point stall area. What adds to the stall factor is we have the call credit spreads up here. So this kind of bump our head against it. Now also let's remember we have short calls up here. So again, as we, all in this area, 6190, there's a big chunk, and there's obviously at the round number. So as we go up, market makers sell. But the flip side of that with positive gamma is as we go down, they have to buy again, because they're either too long or too short. So they go opposite the direction of price, which kind of has this pinning, pulling effect. And now I'm going to have to look at the profile to see below the 6140, then we don't have great structure. And then there's kind of a little notch down here, like if it breaks 40, we kind of could drift down into here. And then we have the the supportive flows of the put credit spread pushing us back up. And then we have some crazy stuff down here at 60, 80, whatever features are down there. And I don't know, I guess I gave 60, 40 as like max pain craziness. And on top, if we should somehow miraculously break through all this stuff, hey, what's up? And we'll play the pin game too. We're going to play the pin game, personal income spending, 4.5, disposable income. I don't know what all that means. It's none of my business. Any macro bros here can give me a TLDR of what all these numbers mean? Were they good? Were they bad? It looks like they weren't much of anything because the market didn't really do anything. Okay, so that's that. Now let's switch to, let me just show this one more time with Mentor Q. So they have this kind of intraday, and I like the roadmap feature. It just makes it easy to see where the lines are. You know, especially if you're trading level to level and not trying to scalp 5 or 10 minutes. If you have like a long time frame, like a couple hours, you can kind of see where the levels are. Iron condor sellers, it kind of gives you a range, and you know me, I'm an iron condor seller, so I just wanted to show that. Now we go to option depth, OD, who's rapidly becoming the OG, even though they're newcomers, comparatively speaking, in the gamma space. And for SPX, they're, for me, the best. I use them. I know the developers are great people, integrity, but plus bottom line is their data is good and their math is good. Okay, so where are we? Oops, let me just get this mess off of here. Let me unget that mess out. While I have all these, I have like a bunch of different gamma, whatever things in there. Truthfully, I just want to see my own. Looks like the wrong one. Is that the one? No, that's not the wrong one. Yep. Okay. I just want to see my own because I wrote it. I know what it means. And my paid subscribers get that. Okay, so we'll just say we're at 6150-ish. And I'm going to start off with my if then was if we're at over 6150, kind of like let the games begin. So right here in this 6150 area, we have this fly looking structure. 50, 40, 45. Now we have a customer long dealer short over here. So we have this kind of choppy mess in here. So pullbacks can kind of get caught up here, get maybe supported here at 40. That's why I kind of have 40 as the bottom of my chop zone. If we should kind of get stuck over here and get sucked down by the 45, we should get supportive flows from here, as well as supportive flows from some of this stuff decaying. Remember, as we go up, they sell it. As we go down, then they have to buy. So that's kind of why this area is what it is. If we get over the IC whale, which it looks like we kind of have been, if we get over 6170, I believe it is, and there's the long strikes, then we should stall right in here. So there's another stall feature here. But we had this yesterday. We had some customer longs above this. And if we can get through here, then there's a chance 6190. And then there's all these gamma globs up here that it's going to take something really spectacular to break through. But we have this hole up here. So if we break through by a miracle, that's kind of the parking spot right in here between these two. And again, let's just talk about to the downside. To the downside, again, should vol increase, which it looks like it's really turning out to be a nothing burger, we kind of progressively less supportive flows, and then we get kind of trapped under this. Let's remember how that works. And so then you could get trapped under this and get caught in this zone. I doubt we get down to his put credit spreads, but you never know. So you kind of figure get trapped in this zone. And then depending on the price action, we look for flies, depending where like the holes in the zones are. And so here, looking at the heat map, path of least resistances takes you to 80. Takes you toward 80. That's where the natural flows would take you. And 6140 seems pretty solid and obviously gets stronger at the end of the day. Why do I say obviously? Because gamma is strongest closest to expiration. That's when options become 0 or 1 eventually. So the rate of change of gamma accelerates. The rate of change of delta accelerates. So that's what we have here. And we have all these sold puts down here at 6,000, but we ain't getting there, so it doesn't matter. We have all these long calls up here at 6,300. We ain't getting there. It doesn't matter. We have opportunistic premium sellers that were up here at 6,210. And that's it. Now, actually, I want to show you this for a second. So here was the straddle price from last week, and we finally broke through the top of the range. So new range will be coming up next week, and then will we stay within the straddle next week? When I looked at it, it was 65-ish. So that puts us at a little over 6,200, depending where we close. Let's call it 62 and a quarter on top, and let's just call it, I don't know, 61 and a quarter on the bottom, something like that. Do we stay within that range all week next week in a 4-day week? And I don't know. We'll see. Just kind of put it in the back of your mind, quantuition. Now, yesterday, for science, I knew that the ICWL was going to be selling. We did this on live stream, so I did one. If I have to lose $27, I don't care. I could manage it for fun. I could do whatever I want. This is in a small old SEP from like 1980, whatever, from some like early job. There's only a couple cents in here, so it doesn't really matter. So I just decided to use this to model the trade. And, it looks like we're hanging in here. So let's take a look at, because I don't know how to block out my account number. So, right, so I'm smart. I'm bringing everybody's attention to my account number. Anyway, so let's see what's going on. So here, let me show you. 9.4 vol, 43 points for Monday. So where does that put us? Let's look for fun. Let's find the 20-ish delta. That puts us at 95 below 6,100. Yeah. Or 90, whatever, somewhere in that range. And that puts us on top. Here's the 21 delta. Okay, so that puts us on top, roughly over here. Now wait, does this make sense? So look at this. The 20 delta put is 60.95, and unless I'm brain dead, the 20 delta call, something's got to be wrong here. These deltas have to readjust after the market opens. But do we have call skew? Maybe. I don't know. Any questions, comments, put it in there, like, retweet, tell your cousins about it. All right, so let's see. Down here, oh, I went further away than the IC whale. I usually go like 5 further away. I kind of know what his secret sauce is going to be. Not hard to figure out. So the IC whale's short is over here. Here's his 3,000 contracts-ish. As short as here, as long as here. And if I look, I'm just curious. Oh, I did it the wrong way. This is me, not investment advice. Okay. 50 cents. I like that. If I were doing something more tighter and more, some people are much more risk averse, that 40 area looks okay. You might take a little fake pain. So maybe a 10 wide I would look at. Oh, that's a lot of juice. No, it's just kind of juicy down here. When I say juice, I mean premium. Nothing there. So you have to get low. To get premium, you have to go near where the action is, obviously. Okay, so let's be like King Solomon and cut the baby in half. Oops. Somewhere in there is juicy, decent premium. That's a 35 delta. So now we have to go back to the options depth and say, well, what's the likelihood of 40 breaking? It could. 20 looks a lot better, but that is a path of least runs down on the way down, so maybe you want to wait. Okay. Let's play pin. So this is just the charm, the decay associated with these options visualized differently. Visualized by the delta decay, not by the gamma. Gamma is the rate of change of delta based on the move. This is just based on the decay. And of course the move is priced in there, but not really. Okay. So here's and the OD developers agreed to come on. I guess have to work out a time. So here's our pinhead areas. Now clearly, there was that 60. There's all this stuff up here that I would say ain't gonna happen. Hey, Denver, haven't seen you in a bit. Used to be chatty, but lately I haven't seen your comments. Okay, private chat. What are they telling me? Pin is 6210. Okay, all right. So we already have people guessing the pin. So 6210. For 6210 to pin, that would mean, we'll talk about the pins later. Okay, so one is 6210, so that's saying that we break over the 6180, we break through all these short calls and come up here. Next, just kind of, your eyes are a good filter. Next pin, trust your eyes. Next pin, right around here in the 70-ish, 72 area. A pin right below the IC whale. The whale gets spared. Another pin right below 50. If it's a down goes Fraser day, then kind of somewhere in here or in here. Unlikely that we get down here, but if somehow he gets skewered, then we're down here and down here, etc., etc. Are you seeing more move progressively higher today? Where are we now? Now we're at 70 through the whale. So probabilistically speaking, for lack of a better way to put it, we should, the whale could escape and we could end up here. However, and we saw this the other day when he got totally skewered, if we stay above his short strikes, customer short deal along, if we stay above this mess here, we have these longs over here that attract us. We have the decay flow from here that sends us down but pulls us back up. So just based on the profile, not based on macro or what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, I kind of, you know, cheekishly said, how the valuation hawks and the macro bros, everybody's screaming about why the market is or isn't this high, overvalued, undervalued, which I don't know. That's how many angels could dance on the head of a pin. That's like, what's the difference? The price is what the price is. So my friend was telling me he went to a hamburger joint yesterday and paid $17 for a hamburger and a fries and a soda, I think. Is that overvalued or undervalued? Well, I don't know. It's what a hamburger costs. Okay, so that's it. So we got, okay, 6150, nice round numbers, safe pin. We get the new all-time high scratched in the record books. Or we have 6170. So 6170, so basically 6150 versus 6170 is, does the whale get harpooned or not? That's really kind of that question. Because if the whale gets harpooned, then very, resting point 70, maybe 70, so we usually don't close on a market maker long strike. So, 70, yeah. If on the other hand, the whale gets spared and he gets to go home for the weekend instead of get stuck out at sea, then we don't pin technically usually on a customer on a dealer long strike. So in theory, 55 or 45 would be more likely. But if we say the 50 zone, and it depends how you want to fashion your fly. Now let's talk about that for a second, just for fun. So let's say we think we're not going to close on the long strike. So we say, okay, so where are we going to go? Let's take a look. So, and you can do it with puts or calls. It's going to end up being potato, potato. So if we think we're going below 6150, guess let's fashion a cheapie. Well, I hit the wrong thing. Butterfly. Something like that, targeting this area. If you want to kind of, if you have a little more conviction in that, you want to do $1.35, that gives you kind of a pretty big tent here. Anywhere below the whale to about 45-ish, you're a winner of something. Now you just to show you, you could also play it with the calls. I'm pretty sure it would come out the same. Well, we had our center here, right? Come out pretty close to the same. put call parity, so it might not be exactly the same. So the calls are more expensive. We have a little extra vol in the call, whatever. So you can play it either way. Now, if we think we have the 70 pin, so over 65, the 70 is a customer long strike, dealer short. We could land on that pretty close to it. So if we went for that one, well, that's a pretty cheapy fly. And that one, if we wanted to kind of play it a little lot wider, see, that's expensive. Even look at how expensive that is, even though it's further out of the money. So there's seems to be a little call skew going on here. And we've seen this movie before. When Al goes and retail and everybody else starts seeing us moving up, and they start buying 6,200 calls for 50 cents, 60 cents, so they buy these. Then market makers have to start chasing it up, even if we don't get there, even if they sell them and then they run away, and then we go back down. You got to watch the intraday volume and how that builds. And actually, Gamma Edge has a really good tool for that, Vol D and Vol M. I'm not going to pull it up right now. When Paul Duncan comes, he can show it to you. It doesn't tell you buy or sell whatever, but just you see where the volume is, and that's where you use your quantuition to figure out what's going on. It's kind of not that hard. Okay, 8:56. Wow, I managed to not mutter until a quarter after 9. So let me see. U.S. May core PCE index climbs 0.5. Okay. Oh, let's mutter a little bit more. Hold on. I know I wasn't done. Let's also remember that the long-awaited. Hold on. What's going on here? Okay. That the long-awaited JP Morgan collar day is coming up on Monday, and we can't even see the JP Morgan collar. It's all the way down to 59.05. Everybody sold vol down there. That's also part of what contributed to some of the structural flows, IMHO. And so, but we have some pretty big features here for Monday. So it looks like, I'm going to guess at least partially, I think I remember the trade even going in. It looks like somebody bought a strangle. Looks like somebody bought a strangle. It was probably a 20 delta strangle at the time. And now they're making bank. RV has outperformed IV, whatever. Let's assume they're going to leave it because these are institutions. They're not looking to scalp like you or me, although who knows. So we have this 6,200 magnet up here. And if this stays, this feature should get stronger later in the day. I'm not sure why. Maybe I'm not seeing it right. And also, while we're talking about the JP Morgan collar, I got it here somewhere. No, not that. Gamma Edge has, they do this as a courtesy. It's on Twitter or whatever. The current JP Morgan collar strikes. So here we are down here. Forget about that. Ancient history. 10,000 contracts. Short call is 58.80 into July. Well, you know what? We can kind of call that support-ish. And we have some moving averages here. I know some of my TA friends are talking about this area, give or take. And so, something interesting, something to think about. Maybe if I wanted to do some longer term kind of trade, however I wanted to structure it, whether it's bullish, bearish, flying, neutral, iron condor, whatever. And the August, which is the baby bear, 5,000 contracts, nothing burger, we got 6,200, 6,210. Let's keep that in mind because on Monday, now they don't buy back their short calls like QYLD does, but what they do is they put in a delta adjustment. Since they're going to be selling 40-ish thousand contracts to finance 5% out of the money, long put debit spreads, 5%, 5%, 20% is the formula. That's what it is. It's simple. Um, and whatever it costs, they sell the call, that's it. Typically, when that adjustment goes in, they buy in the money calls. And although in theory they assure me that it shouldn't move the market, um, in just watching it, it seems to me like it's supportive. The effect wears off sometimes later in the day. So it's just something to keep your mind on when you're, on Monday, and I'll remind you guys. Okay, 9 o'clock. Any questions? So we have 70-ish. I'm going to give you guys the benefit of the ish doubt, and 50-ish. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm going to do my whatever it is. Let me get my links and stuff. If I could find it, where the hell is it? Here's the link to my Substack. There's free and paid. Free is more or less what you end up seeing on Twitter. Paid is with the daily plan, the cheat card, all that. I don't have a cheat card handy. Oh, and also I've been late sending this out. We also have this cheat card here, another one that I'll send out, which is basically somehow everything that I write on my daily plan, my buddy Nanda somehow gets into a card. And that's for paid people. And I was showing it to you without showing it to you. So I'm just going to do this. Let me show you the I think it's a cool idea. So here's a cheat card. Here's the whole day mapped out for you. Quick reference. And so subscribers get that as well. Okay. All right, now let me find my links. I put in my, what did I say about JPM on Monday? Okay, so JP Morgan collar expires Monday. The calls are deep in the money. Not going to really be a factor in one way or another. However, they sell one for September, the big September one. And when they sell the way they do it is they sell the 30D, and I'll do a little more detail on Monday. They sell the 90 DTE and the September calls to finance the put debit spread. The controlling level is not what call they sell, it's the collar, it's the put debit spread, 5% out of the money long put, 20% out of the money short put, giving their hedge fund people basically max loss of 5% unless we're down more than 20%, which in a 3-month period happens historically. If like from now to then, not that we couldn't go lower and come back, happens historically like, a very small percentage of the time, and that's how they sell the product. And you could do it yourself with SPY. It's not hard. So yeah, there's that. So that's the down and dirty version. So when they sell their calls and buy the puts, a lot of negative deltas come in, and so the market and so that to stop the market makers from and the market in general from getting creamed, what they do is they buy zero DTE offsetting deltas, and that although it's supposed to offset mathematically, I think, or whatever, and I'm assured by people it's not supposed to have an effect. I think it does. It seems to have a supportive effect, especially at least when it comes in. All right, let me get my little links. Mentor Q discount link. Copy link. My OD thing, option depth. I'll get discount links from the other people. Oh, and by the way, my TA mentor, I was once a TA person before I got deeper and deeper into the gamma, is going to be doing something with me. It's a master trader is their thing. Greg, they do a master trader live every Wednesday at noon, so we probably do that. They also do a YouTube at 9 o'clock. I'll actually put the link in there now if I could find it. You know what? I'll have it for tomorrow. Actually, I think they're on X also. Let me see something. Let me see something. And we often come up with the same levels, doing it, our way versus their way. Master trader. This guy's old school OG, TA. Well, why can't I find a master? Oh, I'm spelling you wrong, master. Now you see why I use AI to help me type. Master trader. Oh, this looks like their logo. Yeah, this is them. I'm going to put the link in here. So Greg's doing his shtick right now, the same shtick he's been doing for 50 years or 40 years. Hi, Greg. And then put your link in for my peeps. Actually, I might even watch him. He's pretty good. Okay, so anyway, that's Master Trader. They do something they do options, they do scalping, share sizing by X number, by whatever stock it is, or short whatever stock it is, stop loss here, trailing stop, all that old school, money management kind of stuff. Anyway, this time now I'm really done. Okay, have a safe day. Any questions, let me know. You can always reach out to me. I'm ubiquitous on social media, on Twitter, on Discord, on Facebook Messenger, on who knows what, on Substack. I'm everywhere. Okay, I'm going to end stream now. Take care, guys.